Okay, so if you're just catching up, last night the United States targeted 3 Iranian nuclear enrichment facilities, the big one, Fardo, and 2 others. And I'll explain everything that happened. This is not a drill. This really happened. This is not made up. It's not the War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells. It's none of that. This is actually what happened last night. Okay, before I talk about last night, about an hour before it went down, I posted this video. You keep checking news, you know what Israel's about to do. Got it wrong. It wasn't Israel. It was the United States that did it. And then I was at the store and Terry called me and said, "Hey, it just happened." I said, "Oh man, I'll be home in like 20 minutes." Well, we were in a live stream from that point forward for about 2 hours. And we go through a play-by-play of pretty much everything that happened in real time. Okay, so we found this out because Donald Trump tweeted out, "We've completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. All planes are now outside Iranian airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fardo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Okay, so that's what was posted, and that's what alerted us. So here's what happened. In the early hours of June 22nd, around 2:30 a.m. Iranian time, the U.S. launched strikes on key nuclear sites, Fardo, Natanz, and Isfahan. B-2 bombers with massive ordnance penetrators weighing 13 to 30 tons and Tomahawk missiles from submarines were used in the attack. Donald Trump announced the complete destruction of the targets, warned of even more powerful strikes if Iran retaliates. And Iran has already come out and said that they're going to retaliate, and it's going to be significant. The IAEA currently reports no increase in radiation levels around the sites. And now that's important because the Iranians were saying, to their people, get out, there's massive radiation reported and that sort of thing. The IAEA hasn't reported that, at least not yet. Okay, while the B-2 bombers were tasked with taking out Fardo, the Fardo facility, the United States Navy was using 30 BMG-109 Tomahawk cruise missiles fired from U.S. submarines to strike the Iranian nuclear facilities in Natanz and Isfahan. Now, our original reporting had 30, but we thought that was 30 bunker bombs. The big bombs from the stealth fighters, we thought there were 30 of them. It turns out there were 12. Nonetheless, 12 of those did significant damage here. 6 USAF, U.S. Air Force B-2 stealth bombers dropped 12, not 6, because there was some earlier reporting about 6 as well, 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators. That these bombs will go into the earth and then just like keep pushing down, like rocket propelled, keep pushing down before they explode. And so they don't just blow up on the surface. Okay. On Iran's Fardo nuclear enrichment facility tonight, according to CNN, total of 180 tons of bombs was dropped on Fardo tonight. So that's a lot of ordnance. Smoke plume over Fardo. Photos and videos are being circulated in the media. No verified satellite images have been released so far. But again, that's pretty significant what it looks like over here, this smoke plume. Okay, CNN reports that along with the Tomahawk cruise missiles, another USAF B-2 stealth bomber dropped a pair of GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators on the Natanz nuclear enrichment facility, and that would be enough to blow that facility sky high. The 2 MOPS would very likely have, as Trump put it, obliterated the far less hardened Natanz. Like the first one, the Fardo one, was like 90 kilometers down. Like they were serious about building this program since 2012 or so, somewhere in that neighborhood. Trump, after the strike on Iran, the facilities are obliterated. If you want peace, make a deal. He came out and gave a 6 minute speech, and he was on message the entire way. Very often he'll wander off points. It wasn't like that here. You are now obligated to make a peace. Otherwise, the strikes will be even more powerful, he said. He added that the U.S. still has many other options and ready for further attacks. And he was warning them, like, don't hit our bases. You hit our bases, it'll be on. And so we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. We know what has happened, but it's kind of in the Iranians' court, right? Like what they want to do about this. If they sue for peace, that's one thing. If they strike back to save face but don't actually strike, that might be something similar. If they strike back in earnest, trying to do significant harm to American troops at bases around Iran, that'll be a very different scenario. Okay, shortly thereafter, this is Baghdad Bob. This is the guy that was like the PR guy in the Gulf War for Saddam Hussein. I show him here because they came out right after here saying nothing happened, and you can go back to this video here and see what they were saying, because we showed you what they were saying immediately thereafter. They came out and said, well, the doors got blown off the front and the back of it. It was more, I mean, that might have been a true statement, but it was more than the doors being blown off. Okay, if you don't know me, my name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor, and I try to provide context in the war in Ukraine. Over the last week and a half or so, I've had to expand that into what's going on in Israel and Iran as well. But if you're not familiar, please consider subscribing. You can always break up with me later. Okay, 1,100 Russians are off the battlefield in Ukraine day over day today. 9 tanks, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 39 artillery systems, 117 vehicles and fuel tanks. It's with what's going on in Iran, it's almost easy to forget that there's still this hot war in Ukraine that's going on daily, and the Ukrainian defenders are holding their ground, ceding as little ground as possible to the Russians day over day in order to attrit as many of them as possible. Overnight, the Russians launched 47 Shahed drones, 3 missiles at Ukraine. Again, this is a number that makes me nervous, because when you see low numbers like this of 47 and 3, remember the Russians can put out about 150. The estimates are between 133 to 160 something that they produce every day. Even with the degraded circumstances, it's still going to be well north of 100, it appears, every day. And so when you see 47, that makes you nervous. When you see 3 missiles, and we know that their capacity is different, like here's an Iranian helicopter hunting down a Russian Shahed drone. Like, this is the view from the helicopter cockpit as they're getting ready to try to target that and knock it out of the sky. But when you see the 3 missiles, and you know that they can produce 195 missiles a month, and that means about 6 or 7 missiles per day. Again, they're saving up for a rainy day, and they're going to be trying to, massively overwhelm the system in just a few days out. In Bakrov's direction, Russian invaders led 43 assaults. I show Bakrov's because this is the high water mark. But what we're also finding out is that not only do the Ukrainians still hold ground in Kursk, and they're saying like, hey, look, we still have 90 square kilometers, but I'm showing you this because in Sumy is really going to be the big place where they're going to be pushing hard. The Russians are going to be pushing hard because they're trying to counterbalance what's going on in Kursk. Here's an aerial photo of a Russian fuel train in Zaporizhzhia front being attacked. Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi, Ukraine leads Russian FPV drone use, but Russia has the edge in fiber optic drones. Now, fiber optic drones can't be electronically knocked down, and so that's why they're doing it. Now, Russian drones can reach up to 40 kilometers. Ukrainian-made versions are catching up with 20-kilometer range. Work is ongoing to close the gap. The Ukrainians overall have a greater capacity with drones, but fiber optics are a different story, apparently. President Zelensky said 23% of all Russian attacks are now concentrated on the Sumy axis. Okay, so Sumy is up in the north, somewhere near Kursk and Kharkiv and that sort of thing. And the Russians are really trying to push down with that. He said this, quote, "The Russians want to sell success in Sumy and Kharkiv because without them, President Trump is more likely to pressure them with sanctions." So they get it. They understand the political game that's going on beyond the hot war on the ground. Okay, just a few things, a few comments as we wrap up. This is Spetsnaz 007. It's a Russian channel on X. And I mean, this guy's like followed by Vladimir Putin News and Che Baus, Scott Ritter, Kirill Dmitriev, RT, and Margarita Simonian. So like he's a guy that's articulating that kind of voice. From the Russian side. The U.S. president has lost his mind. Not only did he break international rules, but also carried out an act of war without Congress's backing. There will be consequences. Okay. The president has the right to do this. So the president, as the executive, the commander in chief, has the short-term ability to deal with an acute crisis. Now, he has to get backing from Congress if Congress is going to declare a war within 60 days. So he has to provide evidence of whatever to Congress, and then they would declare a war if there was going to be an ongoing war. So this is just not true. Okay, Reagan Caucus posted this. Dear Mr. President, fantastic work. Now, arm Ukraine, sanction Russia, build our military to defend Taiwan. I agree with all that. And then somebody, this is a joke. It's just a joke. But somebody put out this, Mr. President, at Real Donald Trump, sources have told me that Iran has stored some of their nuclear stuff here. Swing over and drop a few bombs here if you don't mind. And it's an image of the Kremlin. Okay. Last little bit by Darth Putin, the parody site. He's talking about, very often he'll put an on this day just to remind us of what the Russians, or in the past Soviets, have done. On this day in 1941, Nazis violated our non-aggression pact that totally didn't contain a secret clause to begin a special military operation against the USSR, who had never attacked anyone. Imagine a day, a country launching an invasion to annihilate and commit genocide. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Nazis double-crossed them. Maybe you shouldn't have had that treaty with the Nazis, but you never talk about that in your history books. It's fascinating. On this day in 1941, the USSR involuntarily switched to the Allied side of World War II. All right, my friends, that's all that I have for now. I'll do a bigger update on what happened in Iran, just like covering all the aftermath in just a little bit. I'll do that in a few hours just after church. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.